The average price of a new vehicle sold in the United States is $50,000, and let's face it, new cars aren't even reliable anymore. So when gems like this pop up, we absolutely have to check them out.
And when we talk about gems, this truly is a gem. I know I get excited when I find those older vehicles with very low miles, but this one might take the cake.
For decades, the Ford Ranger was the definition of a real compact truck. Simple, reliable, and built to work without trying to be something that it wasn't. Introduced in the early 80s, the Ranger became a staple of American driveways, job sites, and back roads, earning a reputation for durability that outlasted entire generations of trucks. By the late 2000s, the Ranger had reached its peak, refined, proven, and still unapologetically honest, before compact trucks disappeared and everything got bigger, heavier, and more complicated. And today, we're about to look at something almost unheard of, a Ranger with just over 5,000 original miles, quite possibly the cleanest, lowest mileage example of a Ford Ranger still in existence. We're going to check it out from the top and underneath, preserved almost exactly as it left the factory almost 20 years ago.
Hello everyone and welcome to Performance on Wheels. My name is Todd. My son Austin and I, we make all sorts of different videos on all sorts of different cars. Some of our favorite videos we've been doing recently are on older vehicles. And you guys have been enjoying this series just as much as we have been enjoying it. But there's still 95% of you that are not hitting that subscribe button. So as we bust out this time capsule in today's video, do us a favor and hit the subscribe button.
No, this is not a clickbait video. This genuinely might be the cleanest Ford Ranger that is still in existence in the entire world. Just 5,300 miles on this example. And let me break it down because we have quite the fun story to share. There was an older gentleman that decided to go into a Ford dealership one day and he laid his eyes on this Ford Ranger. It was truly beautiful. He loved the red and he decided to purchase that Ford Ranger. From there, he decided he wanted to do a few customizations. However, he was having a few medical issues, so he was never really able to drive his pride and joy. But while he was down for the count, he did go ahead and purchase some wheels. He threw some decals on it that were popular at the time. He just got to enjoy looking at his truck. Unfortunately, he passed away and passed this truck along to his son, but his son just couldn't manage to rack up the nerve to put the miles on such a beautiful, clean example of a Ford Ranger. So he traded it in at the same dealership that his dad bought it from. And here it is today. Never seen salt, never seen winter, other than of course the video we're making. This is across the street of the dealership that it's at, so it still has not seen salt. This thing is flawless, absolutely beautiful, inside and out, up and down. We're gonna put it on a lift later on in today's video. I think this might be the cleanest Ford Ranger that still exists.
The thing that stood out to me is looking at the receiver in the back, and there's not even a rust outline there in any manner. And just about every vehicle in Minnesota that has a trailer hitch shows signs of rust there. This is the two-wheel drive Ford Ranger. It's got a 4-liter V6 in it. It's got the STX package, so you got that gnarly color matching front bumper. You got the fog lights down there. Just a really fun spec. Kind of the interior that matches the red seats. And today we're just going to show you what a amazing example of a Ford Ranger this is. This Ranger and most Rangers were actually built just down the road in one of the biggest plants that Ford had in St. Paul, Minnesota. That Ford plant was announced to be closed in 2006 or around that time, but because the Ranger was so loved and was still pumping out sales, it managed 2 additional delays in the closing of that plant and made it all the way up to 2011. The Ranger then took about a 6 or 7 year hiatus, and that brings us to current day essentially. So this Ranger maybe never left a 30-mile radius from where it was actually produced.
Now, although this Ranger may never have gone more than 30 miles from where it was built, there's plenty of them out there that have gone well over 200,000. And let's go ahead and talk about the powertrains and how exactly they managed to do that. Now, this one features, well, this one actually features the quickest powertrain you possibly could have gotten.
Yeah.
Rear-wheel drive, so it's the lightest, and with the biggest motor, the 4-liter V6. Makes just over 200 horsepower, and don't laugh, but what critics say is that it does 0 to 60 in usually under 10 seconds.
You're not winning any races and there's not extreme truck capability, but I do like the Ranger from that regard because it rides like a pickup truck. That body on frame, it rides like a truck, but it just doesn't really have the power, even with the most powerful engine option. The 2.5 liter that was produced from 2001 all the way up to 2012, that's an inline 4-cylinder that was designed by Mazda. That's kind of known to be the most reliable maintenance-free type engine of the 3 engine choices. The one that's known to be bulletproof is the 3-liter V6. However, the horsepower and torque wasn't much different than that inline 4-cylinder. And this is the one that if you want to maximize that towing capacity of around 6,000 pounds, you're going to go with the 4-liter V6. However, this 4-liter is notorious for having some timing chain guide issues, but as Austin mentioned, there are tons of them with hundreds of thousands of miles on them.
Now I can already see all the people commenting about these graphics down in the comments. However, I really thought they were corny at first, but they've kind of grown on me. I just feel like it's part of the era. It's part of the generation of this truck.
Yeah.
And the paint's just so flawless on this thing that, I don't know, I kind of think it's unique. It's different. It stands out. And I kind of like that. However, I think the wheels got to go. I really do.
Typically in a Sunbelt state, those chrome strips, that was the poor man's way of hiding rust. But this is just pure style and class, because this thing has never seen any salt, and there's not a speck of rust on the top or the bottom of it.
Looking at the underside of our 5,000 mile Ranger here, you can see this has not had any contact at all with salt. It appears there's no rust that is starting. There's not even surface rust that is happening on here. We did notice that the right front lower ball joint does have a little bit of a tear in it. We are going to be replacing that, as well as a little bit of play in the driver's side wheel bearing that is going to be replaced as well. But just taking a peek back here, as you can see, it's just absolutely flawless, this vehicle. I have never seen one of these that looks so new. Completely spotless on the underside of this 5,000 mile Ranger. But I can also already see the comments, people saying that this thing has a Mazda bed swap. However, this actually has the STX package, which gets you that super fancy front sporty looking bumper.
How do you feel about the gap up here and just the disproportion of like the bumper to the wheel to the rest of the body?
I don't know, it kind of reminds me of the first gen Lightning, the first gen F-150 Lightning. It has like a similar proportion to that with the gap and the bumper. I don't know, I don't mind it. I kind of like how low it sits. It looks a little bit unique. But here, rather than most Rangers, we don't have that step out. We just kind of have this smoother bed line here and a different taillight and rear bumper design, the same one that you'll get on the Mazda B series, I believe it was, the B series of trucks. And we also got ourselves a painted hard tonneau cover.
Fantastic.
Just looks so good. It's just so clean back here. I love this thing. It's great.
Whoa,
that was a noise.
That's like my knees in the morning. Here we go. But this is flawless. Like you got the spray bed liner. You got a mat to protect the spray bed liner. And it is absolutely flawless.
Doesn't look like
the
something's
camera
been
isn't going to
set
pick
in here.
everything up, but yeah, it's great. I love it.
I mean, it doesn't look like it's been used once. It's absolutely flawless. It's beautiful. That's so unique. I love these old trucks, and just to get yourself a solid steel bed, it feels so much more solid than stuff that's modern today. Something I thought that was kind of funny. Look at the exhaust over there.
Huge.
I mean, what is that? Is that an inch? That's like the smallest exhaust pipe I've ever seen, just tiny. And it's so clean going all the way back. I love this thing. Well, should we go put some miles on it? And what better place to start the interior than hanging out in the rear jump seats? This is one of the things that makes the Ranger so iconic. The hilarious amount of space in the back is so unpractical that it makes it impossible not to have a smile on your face and have the whole interior of family laughing as you bounce your head off the ceiling in the back of this old Ranger. I think it is so funny that somehow these seats ever even made it into production, and the fact that somehow this seatbelt passed, holy cow, I don't even know if I can be able to get it out. There's a lap belt somewhere under me right now, and it somehow passed safety regulations, and they thought that this thing supposedly would save you if you were in an accident. I'll just kind of throw it here. Or to be fair, if I was in an accident with this on, well, I'd probably crack my head open on this glass first, and then potentially, I don't know, snap my neck on the roof. This is such a bad design.
I do have many fond memories of hanging out in the back jump seat of a Ford Ranger or even S10s back in the day. And I remember being a kid thinking, how does anyone fit back here? So going back into a jump seat as an adult, it has me reminiscing on, you know, things weren't all that bad back then and things aren't all that bad now because we have tons of room. I mean, my knees are in my son's crotch and His feet might be tickling my bottom right now, but other than that, shoulder room's here. My neck's got plenty of space. I'm not really sure what's going on down here, but it's, you know, usable space here in the Ranger.
Now, even though this is such a low mileage Ford Ranger, unfortunately stuff still does break. However, on a vehicle like this is such a DIYer. You should be able to go home, buy some tools from your local parts store, and take on any project that you desire. However, I don't know about you, but it kills my back trying to do some of this stuff on the ground. So go over to Best Buy Auto Equipment and pick up some of these nationwide lifts that we just picked up for our brand new YouTube studio. We got ourselves 2 4-post and a 2-post, and they work flawlessly for both storage and taking on some awesome products. So if you guys have like $3,000 laying around and you don't want to kill your back, but you're a DIYer just like us, be sure to check out Best Buy Auto Equipment down in the description below. Let's see what that 4-liter has to offer here. That's 20. Ooh, spinning those back tires a little bit. 40 and 50. And there's 60 with about a 7-second 0 to 60. I would say that sounds about right. I think that's plenty of pep. And this is about as pure of a review as we can get from a showroom condition Ranger. So I just think that's unique. This might be the lowest mileage Ranger that there's ever been a review on YouTube. So I think that's it's kind of a big thumbs up there. This was the last truck before trucks became big trucks, essentially, and I think that's kind of a unique thing to talk about in the sense of legroom, technology, and items like that. At 6 feet tall, the driver's seat is relatively firm. However, I have plenty of legroom. It's somewhat comfortable. I have a tilting steering wheel, so I can get myself comfortable. It does the job. I have analog climate, analog radio, just easy to use stuff, and I have manual windows. It's been a while since I've been in a car with manual windows, but man, so inconvenient. But at the same time, so nostalgic. I don't know. Sometimes I like them, and other times I think, why in the world did they ever even make these when window switches are something cheap to make in the first place? But might be the first time this thing's ever had its foot to the floor. I do enjoy the Ford Ranger, but I got to admit, it's stiff. It's real stiff. Going over bumps and just experiencing some normal potholes and basic just holes and divots in the road, you feel everything inside of this thing. It's probably a big part of its body on frame and such a small body and absolutely zero weight whatsoever over that rear axle. But man, it is just rough over a lot of bumps, but it doesn't bother me. However, in slippery conditions, if that back end were to just bump up a hair, you could easily spin this thing in a circle without the 4-wheel drive. So you gotta be careful, gotta get some weight over the rear end of this thing if you're gonna drive it in all 4 seasons, especially when we get winters as aggressive as this. But I love this thing. I mean, it just feels like a brand new truck here 20 years later. It's so easy to drive. The steering feels great. The brakes feel great. It gets you where you need to go, and that's all I really have to say about it. Just for fun, I had to know because we just put like 10 miles on this thing, and I was curious just doing the math as to how many miles I've put on this in comparison to, well, it being 19 years old. Just for fun, to break it down, this thing has had about 238 miles a year put on it since it was purchased new, which is about 23 miles a month. 23 miles a month since it was purchased 19 years ago new. Wow, so unique.
So at the time this generation Ranger was essentially killed off because the F-150 was very near to the price that you could get this Ranger for. The F-150 was obviously more popular with the additional size, and the fuel economy was frowned upon, even though it's really no different than current day, high teens, low 20s. But ultimately, this is just a charming, awesome truck, and the fact that it is so extremely clean makes this one, I don't know. I even kind of dig the graphics just because they're so goofy.
I know, I agree. It was actually really funny. When it was actually traded in, we did take some graphics off, but there was the Grinch eyes as a graphic along the whole back window.
Interesting.
Super interesting, super weird. But I love this thing. I mean, the fact that you can go over to Apple Autos right now and purchase this thing for $15,999. I mean, that's got to be close to the MSRP that this thing was originally when it was new.
You're not too far off.
But I mean, the fact that you can buy this thing right now, it's a brand new 20-year-old truck. I just think that's so unbelievably unique. You can't buy a vehicle with those miles that has just the reliability and how clean this thing is. What a unique vehicle, and I'm so glad we had the opportunity to make a video on it. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this 5,000 mile Ford Ranger down in the comments below, and don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to see more videos just like this one. We'll see you guys next time.